Hey, what is up, Justified fans? I am so excited to be back to talk about Justified City Primeval episodes 1 and 2. The way I structure these videos is I'm just going to go through 10 different things that we learned. We just watched the first 2 episodes, so it's not a traditional recap. I'm just going to be talking about some insights I had, and I'll go through it one by one. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that we learned is that they are absolutely going to nail this show. I'm ready to call it. I'm ready to say this is going to be a great mini series. Raylan is back in character. He is full steam ahead with who he is, but in a different city, in Detroit. We've got a great menacing bad guy in Clement Mansell, as well as multiple characters who I'm very intrigued with, and I think they could go either way in terms of Breaking Good or Breaking Bad. We have the defense attorney Carolyn, we have Sweetie the bar owner, and we have Sandy Clement's girlfriend. And I'm going to talk about all 3 of them later, but they gave off vibes to me that they could be on either side of the law, and we'll see how that winds up as the series progresses. The energy of the show is still fast-paced, it's fun, it's exciting, it's entertaining. It absolutely lived up to my expectations, and I think that's going to continue. So if you have not given it a chance, check out Hulu. Episodes 1 and 2 are up there, and it's only going to be 8 episodes, so you got to jump on board right now so you can enjoy it week to week. The second thing that we learned is that they did address the societal and political and cultural landscape right away. In my last video, I said that it would be interesting to see if and how the show or Raylan was going to change in light of the changing discourse on race, police, etc. that we've had in the U.S. And well, in the very first scene, or that first, I guess it wasn't a montage, it was the first scene, we see Raylan take in those 2 robbers and potential kidnappers. One of them was a black guy, and we see Raylan handle him in perfect Raylan fashion. The same way he always does. He goes and has lunch with Willa while the bad guys are in the steaming hot car. He threatens to put the black guy in the trunk because he was acting up and talking out to him. Typical Raylan stuff that we've seen before in the original series. The judge, once they all get to Detroit, the judge, prompted by Carolyn, the defense attorney, chastises him for his actions, and as a result, the black guy has his charges from Florida dismissed, and the charges from Detroit/Michigan, they are going to stay put. Now, we have seen Raylan go too far in the past, in the original Justified, and it ended up hurting the state's case in that case when Dewey Crow was let out of jail. And I think it's important and smart for them to do that immediately right now, especially with the black guy, to basically show Raylan that, yeah, your antics can and will come back to haunt you. And so they did that in the very first scene, and that was something that Alan Sepinwall talked about, is how is the show going to address these types of issues, and they tackled it head on, and they went at it right away, and they didn't go easy on Raylan, and honestly, the judge and the defense attorney, they were kind of ganging up on Raylan. But that leads to my third point, the third thing that we learned, and I think this was such a good move, is that they show that no one is perfect in this show. They obviously set up Raylan to be at fault for his actions in the first 5 to 7 minutes and how he treated those 2 suspects. That's obviously good and well, but I was slightly worried that they would fall into this lazy trap of making the cops bad guys and the judge and the criminal defense attorneys good guys. But we saw just a few minutes later in that first episode that the judge had skeletons in his closet and the defense attorney has skeletons in her closet. So they did not go for the easy, lazy trap. I think that was really smart, and they're showing us that everyone's kind of compromised, and most of these characters, with the exception of Clement, they're straddling this middle moral ground, and they're trying to navigate it as best they can. But there's not too many characters that are out and out bad or out and out good, where it's not even debatable. The fourth thing that we learned is that the Oklahoma outlaw, Clement Mansell, he seemingly has no moral limitations. He's driven by money, he wants to be the criminal leader of Detroit, and he seeks out to harm people even when he really doesn't need to, like when he got road rage with the judge and he ended up killing two random strangers who, again, one of them turned out to be the judge, and one of them turned out to be the judge's criminal informant, unbeknownst to him, of course. Now, he ended up regretting this when he saw it on TV, but he got over it really quickly, especially when he's got his girlfriend, Sandy Stanton, to ditch his gun. And so, again, he's the only character that we see is just out and out bad. We haven't seen any glimpses of good in him. And I think his no moral limitations, I think that's going to come back throughout the rest of the series, and especially it might affect a couple of our key characters. The fifth thing that we learned is that Sandy is Clement's accomplice in scamming unsuspecting guys, but Sandy does not seem to have the same type of moral decay that Clement does. She also seemed to have some kind of affinity towards Raylan, at least when she was describing him to Clements. So I think it'll be interesting to see if she has the guts to follow Clements in doing everything she needs to with regards to Raylan. And it might be interesting to see if she ever turns on Clements and goes to Raylan to get herself out of the jam that she is clearly in right now. And I'm assuming it's going to pick up pace going forward. The sixth thing that we learned in these two episodes is that Raylan is not alone in terms of cops with his over-the-top ways. There's one cop in Detroit that resembles him quite a bit. I forget his name, but I'll put him up on the screen, and he copies much of Raylan's antics, even though he's from a different part of the country. In this scene, they need information from this guy about the judge's car and who tried to bomb him, and they have the police dog ready to attack him, even though they don't need to. He's already caught, but they have the police dog ready to attack him if the criminal does not tell them what they want to know. Now, on that related note of Raylan being around people who are morally, operate in this moral gray zone on the police side, there was a little bit of foreshadowing when one of the retired cops said to Raylan about a different cop, Cruz, who had already retired, and this guy said he had 32 years on the job, the world changed, he did not. And that leads to an obvious question: is Raylan's inability to change, which it doesn't seem like he has, is that going to come back to haunt him? And is that potentially lead to the demise of his life or his cop career at the end of these 8 episodes? The seventh thing that we learned is that we've got some really interesting and unpredictable side characters on one part of the law, criminal defense attorney Carolyn, who works with Clements. She is friends with Sweetie. She knows that Clements is a bad guy, but she also has some type of incriminating history about herself with her former business partner, who we see briefly, and it also seems like she's willing to both defend Clement as well as be sympathetic to Raylan in the job that he has to do. But her safety is definitely in jeopardy being so close to Clement, as we saw him already threatened her, which prompted Raylan to come back into the office and potentially solidify their bond. And in addition to that, Willa wants Raylan to hook up with Caroline as well. So she's one of those characters I said before. She's going to be on either side of the fence. Not sure where she's going to land yet in terms of who she helps and how she operates. Then we've also got a great character, Sweetie, who is the bar owner who facilitated Clement's crimes in 2017. And he even connected Clement to Caroline, the attorney. But now he wants to get away from all this, but he can't because Clement's back in his life. He's back in Detroit. And as he said in the episode, when Clement comes around, shit hits the fan. The 8th thing that we learn is that the judge's presence will be looming this season, even though he is dead. What exactly is in the notebook? Is it people that have paid him off? Is it people that he wants to get back? Is it other potential dealings that I'm not thinking about right now? How and with whom is the judge corrupted, or was the judge corrupted? And did the judge have any type of illegal dealings with the defense attorney Carolyn that's going to come back to haunt Carolyn? Because, of course, the judge is dead, so it's not really going to haunt him in his grave. The 9th thing that we learned in this episode is going back to Clement. I think him going after Willa is definitely 100% on the table, and he now knows he can get under Raylan's skin by approaching her. We also know that since he does not have any type of moral limitations, I think that means that he would feel comfortable going after either Willa or Raylan. Back in the original Justified, I almost felt like Raylan had a fortress around him because so many people did not want to kill a U.S. Marshal. I'm not sure that that is the case with Clement, which means I think Raylan could get hurt or killed. I think Willa could get hurt or killed. I am personally, selfishly hoping for a season 2 of this miniseries. That has not been confirmed, and obviously everyone's on a writer's strike and actor's strike, so I don't even think they're willing to talk to media about that potential. So I'm hoping that both of them make it out okay, especially because, as my 10th point that I want to make is that there might be unfinished business in Harlan County. We saw 2 references to Harlan in this episode. One is when Raylan finds that trap door underneath the house, and he says, finding that is a thing that occurs to you when you grow up in a mining town. And that's the first little hint of Harlan. The second thing that we get is that Willa and Raylan are at dinner, and they're talking about the road trip back to Florida from Detroit, and Willa pulls up a picture of Harlan County, Harlan, Kentucky, and she says, I want to go see where we are from. Personally, I would absolutely love it if they did a second season back in Harlan with Willa. They could just basically copy this first season, just come up with some new characters in Harlan, Kentucky, and run this back. I would be more than happy with that. So I really hope you guys like this video. I hope you watch the show. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't know of anything right now that's better on TV, that's more exciting, more fun, and more entertaining. So hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you soon.